everyone. Hope everyone's doing all right today. If you're on my Facebook, then you probably know who I am. But if you don't, I'm Toni. I am on a mission with a vision to redefine balance, especially for the leaders and achievers that are out there, so that you can experience more meaningful success, greater satisfaction in all aspects of life. And I do that using brain, body, and soul in all that I do. So I wanted to come on today because part of my commitment to myself this 2022 is to have courageous conversations and to be courageously vulnerable. And for me, part of that being courageously vulnerable is coming on here, speaking live to whomever decides to pop on. I don't know who's going to listen or if anyone's going to listen. And for me, that is the courageous vulnerability that I'm being called to step into right now. So if you stop by, hi. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, contributions, and share away if you feel so called to share this, if it resonates with anyone. But have you ever heard people say, like, just do what you love. Just do what you love, and then you'll be happier. Or just find what you love, or figure out your gifts, and then you'll be good. Like, everything will be fine. Something along those lines. I know I actually have said it as well. I'm like, are you doing what you love? If you do what you love, like that's it. Like, find what you love and do it, right? And I'm curious about your thoughts around that, because so I have always known that I was going to be a mom, and I've always known that I was going to be some kind of professional helper and leader in some way. And that's exactly what I wound up doing. It's never changed for me. I've always known that. So I've always known I love this. I love motherhood. I love mothering. Even before I was a mom, since I was a little kid, I said I wanted 5 kids. It's always been like that, right? And I've always wanted to be this professional helper. Maybe you relate. Maybe you've always known what you're good at, what you love, what your gift is. Maybe you haven't always known. A lot of people don't, and they kind of just figure it out through life. And that's, it's not like there's one right or wrong way. But even knowing that I have a gift in those areas and leading and helping and serving and mothering, that doesn't mean that there weren't, some challenges for me to navigate, right? And I even burn out a couple times, which I've shared on here before. And so maybe you do what you love. Maybe you're in healthcare and you went into it because you do love to, like, help people in that way. Or maybe you're in academia, or maybe you're an entrepreneur, maybe you own your own business, or maybe you're a stay-at-home mom. Like, maybe you do something with your life that you love, but you are, like, about ready to pull your hair out, or maybe your hair is falling out, right? So maybe you're in burnout, entering burnout, or just neither. Like, you're not entering burnout, you're not in burnout, but you're not really fulfilled either. It's like that in-between space where it's like things are cool, they're kind of copacetic, but there's more, right? And so is the answer really just do what you love, or just know your gifts and operate in your gifts? I don't think that's the whole answer. I was talking to a friend and colleague, a fellow entrepreneur today, and coaching client and things like that. And this topic came up a little bit. It was like, okay, so it's one thing if you've gained clarity about what you love and what your gifts are. Maybe your gifts are in, so this particular woman who's amazing, her name is Carla, her gifts are in HR. She's got a lot of experience there. If you want to connect with her, she's amazing. Right? And so she knows, like, her gifts are, like, other folks that I have worked with or have spoken with, or even friends and family members. Like, there are some who do know, like, what their gifts are. Maybe it's hospitality or humor or whatever the case is. So, like, I know what my gifts are. I know what I'm good at. And I'm even doing it. But it's still, something's missing. Like, something's, like, not enough. Do you know what I mean? Have you ever been there? Always knowing that I wanted to be a professional helper. I have always been a professional helper and leader in my own right, kind of in all the work that I've done. But there were a couple times, especially in school settings that I've worked in the past a while ago, where I did burn out, even though I was doing work that I loved. I loved the work. But I allowed myself to get burnout. And here's my thoughts. Well, before I say my thoughts about why I think that's the case, let me say, I do think it's important. I want to clarify. I do think it's important for us to know what our gifts are. It is. And that in and of itself is a journey, right? That in and of itself, figuring out what your gifts are in the world is a journey for most. Heck, I knew for the most part what my gifts were and what I love to do. And I still had a heck of a journey, right? And I'm still living. So of course I still have more journey to live, but just figuring out, like gaining clarity around what your gifts are, how you want to contribute to the world, like what you actually love to do and are innately good at, like just figuring that out is in and of itself like a massive part of the journey for a lot of people. Like gaining clarity there, we need to gain clarity there. That is a very important part of the journey. So I'm not downplaying that. That is still something that we need. But only doing that is not going to create that sustainable sense of meaningful success and greater satisfaction in life, work, relationships, and so on and so forth. It's not going to create that sustainable success and satisfaction experience. Does that make sense? Right? So it is important. It's a big part of the process. It's a big part of the journey. It's something that we all need and want, desire, yearn to discover. But there's more to it. Once we figure that out and enjoy figuring that out, because that's part of the process. We want to enjoy the process that we have here in life. But then there's like another step after that I've discovered to be true in working with a bunch of people, but also just with my own life experience too. And that's that knowing what your gifts are and even what you love, it can take you but so far before you kind of reach this kind of stagnant place or this standstill place or this just lack of fulfillment or void kind of place. MLK actually talks about this in his speeches, in some of his speeches. I love MLK. I highly recommend if you haven't read any books with his speeches in it, they're amazing. He talks about this too. He's like, if you go out and give money, for example, but you're doing it without love, there's not power in that. If you go out and you try to serve or lead or give from this place of anger, frustration, hate, lack, whatever the case is, and you're not doing it from a place of love, then there is something missing. The power of that effect is what's the word I'm looking for? Is muffled. I'm using my words. I'm not quoting MLK verbatim, just so you know. And I was actually listening to a sermon the other week, and it was interesting because I've had this topic on my mind for quite a while now. And so I was listening to a sermon the other week, and the pastor spoke about a message from Paul in 1 Corinthians. And this isn't about religion. I'm not about to get religious or go down that rabbit hole, but I just want to share this because it's relevant to this conversation. And it basically says the same thing. What he was saying is like, if I speak lots of languages or speak beautifully, but I'm not doing it with love, then basically I'm just making a bunch of noise. And it goes on to say in the 1 Corinthians that he was talking about, if I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but I do not have love, then I am nothing. Now, those aren't my words. Those are on 1 Corinthians. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. And so why am I sharing that? Again, this has nothing to do with religion. Because years ago, I got this whiteboard and I put it next to our front door in our house. And on it, I wrote, it's much less about what you do and much, much more about why and how you do it. Because you see, it's why we're doing what we're doing, whether we are doing something we love or doing something that is allowing us to use our innate gifts. It is why we're doing it and the attitude with which we are doing it. That's the how, right? That makes the biggest difference in our quality of life experience. And that can be felt. That can be felt in our relationships. Whether you're a business owner and you're running a business, like your customers can feel if you are like kind of cold or like doing something just because you think you should or just to appease them, but not really coming from this place of care or compassion. Like people can feel that. Our kids can feel it. Our partners can feel it. We can feel it when we do it with ourselves, right? Like people can feel it when we do it at work, right? So how does this apply to our personal and professional lives? Well, in so many ways, right? When we do what we do, and it's coming from a place of obligation or fear, like, oh, I can't, I know that I'm really good at what I do, but everyone else runs the same kind of business that I run. And so there's so much competition out there. And so I have to give a lot away, or I have to prove myself, coming from this place of, let's call it lack, or coming from this place of like self-doubt, or with an attitude of no one cares, no one appreciates, or needing to prove yourself, or because you should, or because you have to. When we come from that place, that's not coming from a place of love. And so parents, partners, citizen, as like whatever role we're filling as a parent, as a partner, as a citizen, as a friend, as a community member, even if it's doing something using our innate gifts, if we are doing it, if the reason why we are at the end of the day doing it in that very moment is because of this yuck feeling coming from this place of force, like because I have to for some reason, then that breeds frustration, anger, resentment, anxiety, depression experiences, burnout. It creates those lack of fulfillment within the experience. Even if you are doing what you are good at doing, what you love to do, and what you're gifted in doing, if you are doing it in those moments within that experience, because you feel like you have to, you feel like no one cares, you feel like if how you are feeling in the moment is coming from this yuck place, then the experience feels yuck. Does that make sense? Right? But coming from a place of love is different. And I'm not talking about this intimate, romantic, or even friendship kind of love, right? Like Philadelphia, philia is like that, the friendship piece, that philia kind of love. I'm not talking about that. I've mentioned before, like the agape love, right? MLK talks about that. A bunch of different powerful sources talk about that. That's the kind of love I'm talking about. It's like the agape kind of love, right? This sense of like goodwill for all and free will for all, free will and goodwill for all. It means, the way I would describe it is like coming from the base of what love is and doing what you do in the moment, in each moment. Doing what you are doing, especially the things that you love to do, you want to do, you're gifted in doing. Doing that coming from this place that is grounded in what love is made of, which I would say is like the basics of what love stands for: compassion, meaningful contribution, faith, safety and goodwill for all, meaningful connection. That to me, that's the root. That's what's, if we were to like open love up, like that's what's in it. That's my thoughts. That's how I see it. That's what I've come to know and experience as true. And so if we are approaching our lives, our personal lives, our professional lives, our businesses, our lives with ourselves, our relationship with ourselves, if we're approaching all of that from this place of what's inside of love, it completely changes our experience. It completely changes our experience. And this is like a really simplified, distilled version of what I walk clients through. And I'll tell you, it's, at first it feels frustrating because you're disrupting all of this stuff. But then, a few months in there, it's like, what? I just had a conversation with a client today that was like, I didn't get it while we were doing it, but now I can see just, a handful of sessions later, it's like, what happened? I totally feel totally different. I feel so, totally different in my life experience day to day at work and home, right? It's when we stand in that place and approach our work, our business, our parenting, and our professional lives from that space. And the space I'm talking about is like, imagine love is like, I don't know, whatever fruit we can pop open, a coconut, whoosh, open it up, the stuff that's inside of love, right? If we approach it from that space, then everything is experienced differently. Even if you're doing the same exact thing. So if you are working the same job, parenting the same children, navigating the same type of situation that you have before, but you're coming from this different place with your attitude and the why that you are doing it, you're coming from this different place rooted in love. This internal shift completely shifts the experience for you, for those external situations, for your business, for your relationships, for your marriage, for everything. I'm telling you, like it's crazy. It's crazy. It's powerful stuff, right? And so if you can relate to any of this, totally like let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Or if this resonates with you or you feel like it resonates with other folks that you know, love, care, and adore, please share it. Let other people know, because I think this is a really important conversation. Mind you, I'm not going to come on here and talk about things that I don't think are important. So you'll probably hear me say that a lot, that it's an important conversation. That's why we're talking about it. And so one of the things I'm excited about is that I was invited by the Health and Human Services Department of Montgomery County to come and have this kind of conversation, essentially, especially with regard to Black communities, because it is February of 2022. It is Black History Month. And so what we're going to do is we are going to just have a conversation, myself, Marcus Allen, and another amazing woman. We're going to come on, we're just going to have a conversation to open the dialogue, an honest dialogue about mental and spiritual health and really how we're seeing it, the challenges, and then how we can move forward. And some of the stuff that I talk about here just in this live I imagine will probably come up. And so if this connects with you or any of the leaders that you know in your life or at work or any folks that you're connected with, you can register. It's totally free. It's a community event. We would love to have you join. It's virtual. And so, it's open to whomever wants to join us. We would love to have you join. I'll put the link below. But as always, thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. And I'm always interested in your comments, contributions, any added value or questions that you might have. Really appreciate just being here and sharing this space and conversation with you all. So until next time, see ya.